My path as a sculptor arrived not like a lightning. It occurred like one, but it originates from a far instinct, the pursuit of marble. I was able to get to Pietrasanta for various reasons and opportunities. It is located in the heart of Apuania, which is the heart of Michelangelo's marble, the pride of the country. I started from nothing. The only tools that I had were my enthusiasm and my hands. I arrived here with these tools. The impact was wonderful, dazzling. I found myself doing things in a very natural, instinctive, and simple way. There was an ancient art in my simplicity that had to be expressed. This is the Cervietti laboratory. Once it was placed in the town center, but a few years ago it was moved here. This is the laboratory where I took my first steps. They were wonderful people, very tender. Before starting any work, I always step by here. Here is where I choose my marble blocks. This one is better. This is nice, very nice. I like these kind of blocks. I like it when they have this natural form, this chipping. You can see that it was chipped by the force of gravity. I like it so much. This is beautiful. This is the cut made by the machine, and this is the one made by nature and her strength. These kind of things really fascinate me. This is nice. I could book it. Between me and the block starts a kind of ancestral dance. We are two elements, two subjects melted together, interacting. I'm very good at it. I dance, and you can see the effect through my work. I'm the other side of the sculpture. I mean, this is the masterfully expressed physicality from the classical sculpture, and so on. I do not know. I like to think that when I work, I sculpt the soul of the block, or its being, because an individual is made of physicality, but also soul. The soul is intangible and needs an abstract form to be expressed. Here we have the smallest works that I create when I have to wait for my blocks to be moved or twisted. Since I'm in a creative mood and my energy is strong, I take little things and try to create objects that can also be designed for greater things. Like these. Each one of these can also be made, well, 10 times bigger, there's no problem. Here we have other works. I like to experiment with different colors. I always choose the white as fundamental marble, the statuary, the Carrara, but I also tested some onyx, which has some technical problems because it's hard to knead. However, I also think that colored marble is truly very fascinating. This is my toolbox. I do this operation every single day when I arrive. I prepare the tools that I'm going to use during the day. This is my saw, my pencil. This is a tool I need for smoothing. These are operations that I do every morning and every evening before storing. This is a rougher. It is very similar to the old chisels. This is a part called the quarry mother. I always try to bring it out because it is a very old natural part. I try to use it as a color. I leave cloves of this material and I make a composition with that. I always work without any plans. I have this luck. I mean, I want to freely express my feelings that are emotional, instinctive, and if I had a project to realize, I would be influenced by my mind, by the technique, by the measures, and by everything that I need to fulfill a project. Many people do so, but I want to do something different. Every great work exposed here at the Open One Outdoor Gallery in Pietrasanta has its own history. They were created in very special moments. This is my first big sculpture, The Old Wise. I made it when I was in Rome. I woke up one morning and I knew I had to create this sculpture. So I called the laboratory and I booked a block. It was an instinctive thing. It was a block that I used to see at the laboratory. I had never thought about it. It was the block that found me. When I went back to Rome, I dreamed about it, and when I woke up, I knew I had to do that sculpture. So I called, and the others were pretty amazed. But I was absolutely sure about it. I worked in horizontal as usual, and when we pulled it up, I was thrilled. When I created my greatest works, such as The Old Wise in 2007, Archaic Signs in 2008, and Between Earth and Heaven, I only had 6 or 7 months of experience on sculpture. I think that those creations came from a deeper, archaic knowledge. When I started working on Archaic Signs, I noticed some signs on the block. I started following them, and in the end, they looked like book spines with titles on it. A kind of language from another world. So I decided to put them together and to create a sort of library. It has a beautiful fluidity. Someone sees the sea in it or fire, but everyone sees the nature and its power. This is my greatest work. I started working on it because my master Mirio was very excited about it. He thought that I was meant to create the sculpture and that it would have been a masterpiece. One day, I felt confident enough to deal with it. And, well, this is a piece that gave me great satisfaction. As I said, I always work in horizontal, and the distinctive trait of this work is that it wasn't meant to stand like this. I didn't know how it would have looked, but it went well. The sides are balanced. If you take a closer look at the statue, you can see there are holes in it. These holes are nothing more than the old cut. Once they used to cut the blocks with drills. Now they do it with saws. When it's windy, this statue produces strange whistles that make it peculiar. I decided to leave the holes where they were because I think they show the age of this block. It is an old block, cut with an old system. For me, it was beautiful. When I saw it, I was moved.
Okay, come on, lift it up. On the side. It doesn't work.
If we put this side here, well, there must be a way to lift it up.
Be careful, it's not stable. This way, guys, okay? Slowly. Slowly. It's not stable. Try with a wedge heel.
Non ci sta così. Ci mettici una zeppola.
Is it stable now? Is it? These are my stones. I call them my visual poems. The stones are made of local marble. They were shaped by rivers, smoothed by the stream. When I pick them up, I only choose the ones that lure me, that have a nice shape. I've been collecting stones for years, but it is only in this period that I started emphasizing the traces that I find on them. I'm starting to read these stones. They have different shapes, spots, shadows, grooves. This is what I do. I trace the shapes that I read, and then I start coloring it with different colors, depending on what I feel at that moment. This is my free participation to this. I can keep them like this because I don't feel like coloring them. I focus on them because if you take a closer look, you can see that there was already a trace on it. The stone itself had these forms that I have translated and made readable to others. As you saw when I work, I touch, caress, smooth my works down. I feel very strong emotions. Sometimes when I look at the work, I close my eyes. I've decided to experiment. I'd like to experiment with my works. I actually like it when people touch and caress the sculptures. I think it's right. I've had an idea. I'd like to create a project for the blind. The experience that they should do would enrich us. I'd like to create a route and make them talk while they touch the works. As Michelangelo said, I have in my hand ears and eyes. It has a deep meaning because touch is a very strong and powerful sense. I think that art belongs to everyone. It's something that belongs to our spirituality. And when it's manifested, it's recognized by all latitudes, all peoples, all races. My greatest satisfaction is to hear someone say, "It's beautiful. It's good to see your works. This is wonderful."